More and more Indiana high school students report sexual dating violence in the past year. Listen to these numbers. 1 in 3 teenagers in the United States will experience some form of abuse in a relationship. We're talking physical, emotional, sexual. And during the pandemic, Love is Respect, the National Domestic Violence Hotline for teenagers, saw an increase of reporting by 101%. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and Lindsay Staywick is the Associate Director of the Domestic Violence Network, joining us here to answer some really important questions. And then, first of all, just good to see you. We were talking in the break, and I want to hit on some of these points in just a minute, but first talking about Indiana teenagers and the perspective, kind of when you talk about what we're seeing here as a whole, what do you say? What do you want people to know?
I want people to know that this happens to young people. I think a lot of times this seems like a very grown-up issue, but it is happening because young people are entering into those dating relationships or want to, and so they want to talk about it. They want you to know that these relationships are important to them.
In Indiana, specifically, when we're seeing that kind of violence with teenagers, would you say it's a growing issue? It's something that we're being more aware of, and it's being reported more, kind of all of those things? Or what do you think is the biggest key here?
I definitely think it's an issue that it's highly underreported because young people might not know how to talk about it. They may feel shame and embarrassed, but it's definitely an issue that they want to talk about, and that we know with the pandemic, they were in their homes and didn't have that support system in the school system, and so we definitely worry that maybe more was happening that we don't know about.
What are the signs?
So if you're a parent or caregiver, you may see that the young person in your life is isolating from you or from their friends. They're not doing things that they once loved. They may be very anxious about their social media, about their phones, and their partner checking it without permission and things like that.
We have some of those other signs that are on the screen, and it's just really good to kind of go through those and seeing them. I mean, you would think that there are some that are, explosive outbursts and mood swings. We're having, in relationships where, girls and boys are being forced to have sex.
Yes. But I think it's also important to know that dating violence starts out with these emotional and verbal aspects. We always think of the physical aspect first, but it starts over time. It becomes more consistent.
The controlling behavior.
Yeah, very controlling behaviors that happen over time that seem okay in the beginning, but then turn out to be not so okay.
Yeah, we were talking in the break about my son in high school, and his teacher, we were talking about Title IX, and we were talking about all these different things, and it's preparing him for a healthy relationship. Before we talk about that specifically, how do we prepare our youngsters for a healthy relationship and what that looks like?
I don't think I can say this enough. I think just talking about even a friendship, what a healthy, safe friendship looks like, and then what a dating relationship looks like. Ask your teen or young person in your life, what do they value? What do they want out of a relationship? And just keep that door open for them to come to you with good things, and then if something might happen, they know that you are a safe person to talk to.
I thought it was fascinating in your talking points. It was consent really starts as a toddler.
Yeah.
And that's something that I was like, oh, that's a good visual too for me to think about.
Right. So, I have a 2-year-old, and we talk about, he has to ask permission to play with his cousin's toy, or, I mean, he's 2, so he's not getting it, but just using that language and being consistent with it throughout his development is really important.
We only have about a minute left, so I want to hit some of these things, but again, I mentioned kind of Title IX, and you're saying that you don't think a lot of these things are being taught in school, so you were kind of surprised that my son's school is teaching this.
Yeah, so we go into sorry, I touched my mic.
That's okay.
We go into schools and talk about Title IX, healthy relationships, unhealthy, how to help a friend, resources. But I think that a lot of schools may not be talking about this Title IX, and that young people have this right under a federal civil rights law to not be harassed or assaulted in a school setting, and that they have protections and rights and resources available. Speaking
of resources, we want to get out information on how to help, either help an abuser, how you do that, and how do you get help yourself?
Well, I think, with both sides, it's important to know that this is a learned behavior and that it needs to be unlearned. And so talking about it is really important. And even if you find out that someone in your life is the one doing the abusing or the unhealthy behaviors, they need help just as much as the other person. So the Julian Center has a youth and young adult advocate ready and willing to help if you need those community resources. You can speak to your Title IX coordinator at your school, or your social worker or counselor. And then Love is Respect has a text line. You can text Love is to 22522 and speak to a real person, a real advocate that can help answer any of your questions.
Fantastic. Share that. If your kids are at school this morning, share that information so that they understand that. If you're interested in having Domestic Violence Network teach that change project to your school, we'll connect you at fox59.com/Angela Answers. Such good information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.